Hi, everybody. My name is Matthew Welch. I'm an audio engineer out in Los Angeles, and I'm here today to do some just really basic comparisons between the B9 and the Schoeps interior boom microphones or spot microphones. Now, just a quick background on this. The Schoeps MK41 capsule and CMC1U are an industry standard. It's used a lot in interior booming. The B9 has the same form factor and is being produced out of Taiwan right now, but they're not the same microphones. What I think a lot of people are doing is comparing the look of them, and also the performance specs are very similar. In general, whatever Schoeps has published, the B9 has the same specs. So if the signal to noise ratio is 80, it's going to be 80 on the B9. If the maximum SPL is 131, it's going to be the same on the B9. And if the amount of noise is 14 or whatever, it's going to be the same on the B9. I believe those are the correct stats for these. Cosmetically speaking, the B9's preamp body is a little bit longer. It's still shorter than the CMC6, but it's longer than the CMC1. The Sennheiser is also really small, but has a longer capsule. So the length of the Sennheiser 8040 is similar to the B9, and the Schoeps is the smallest right now. So what I have is, now you see this is not a perfect setup. I mean, I got them as close as I can. They're definitely collinear as far as distance here, but there is the height difference, so make sure that I'm being fair. But you can hear that the levels are about the same. I'm trying to get right in between them so that I'm not favoring the lower or the higher one. I could switch them and do it again, I suppose. Cosmetically, things to note, and I'll see if I can do this effectively, is that there's a protection grill on the Schoeps. This is the same for the MK4. There isn't that on the B9. Now, we see no grill on Schoeps Omnis, and usually those Omnis are going to be used out, on like a Deca tree or as mains or something like that. You're more likely with directional microphones to use them as spots and have them in the field, so the protection can be helpful. But that's me talking a long introduction. Let's just do some obvious tests right now. Okay, so first of all, I've got the B9 pan to left and the Schoeps pan to right, so at any point you can just compare. I'm trying to volume match them, but there are differences. That's kind of the point. So right now, like I said, I'm trying to speak, trying to speak about halfway distance. Now, what's also interesting is we're getting plosives. So one of the things that the grill is going to help with a little bit is the plosives. You're going to get more plosives on the thing without the grill, but also presumably you're getting a slightly less, to the extent that the grill changes the frequency response. That's always the trade-off with protection versus pure unadulterated sound or whatever. All right, so right now I'm just speaking into it. I see higher levels on the Schoeps. I'm going to see if I'm favoring it, see, right now I'm definitely closer to the B9. I'm still getting higher levels in the Schoeps, like noticeably so. But they both have the same amount of gain in there, so okay, you could say the Schoeps runs hotter. They both have the same amount of gain in there, so okay, you could say the Schoeps runs hotter. But then let's listen to the ambient noise. Now, at least what I'm looking at right now, the ambient noise is about the same, but the signal is considerably higher on the Schoeps, so I'm trying not to favor it. So I'm not able to, I don't have the devices with me to measure noise exactly, but it seems like the noise is about the same, but the signal runs hotter with the Schoeps. So this is directly on axis. Now, the other things to bear in mind are these are supercardioid microphones. So let's see what happens when we turn them 90 degrees. Okay, so now I've just rotated at 90 degrees, and I'm speaking in the general direction of the diaphragms. You don't want a ton of pickup here, and you want the pickup to sound normal, to sound the same. It shouldn't sound different. If it sounds different, that means that we're getting a lot of coloration. Let's do the rear. All right, now these are supercardioid microphones. So like all heavily directional microphones past cardioid, they're going to have some rear pickup. Again, the question is how much of it is it, and how much of a problem it is. We know that it exists. If you were a live sound person, you would have to adjust your monitor placement accordingly. So I'm back on axis. To make sure you wouldn't put the monitors directly behind like you would with a cardioid, or you could with a cardioid microphone. But it's also looks like their off-axis response isn't exactly the same. The point is that the B9 doesn't need to be the same. The question is it a decent mic? I think what is complicated by is the fact that it has the same form factor. Now, one thing I meant to point out that I didn't do is just that, like I said, you're going to be more susceptible to plosives without the grill. So yeah, you see in the left channel starts up like really quickly there. That time got them both. I mean, you would have a dead cat or a foam or something like that. But it's just something to bear in mind that if you have an indoor environment that has an HVAC, or if you're using it for booming or something like that, having it naked there might cause problems. So that's as much as I'm going to start with. Still more to be done. I want to special thanks to Eric Weber. He's loaning me the capsule. I did actually purchase the rest of the system. And I told him that I'm going to do honest reviews of stuff and do some, use it to record stuff and send him what I got. I don't have an agenda. If the B9 stuff ends up being fantastic, great. If it ends up not being fantastic, now I know. All right. So thanks, everybody. Have a good one.